Hello, I'm Richard Chandler. I'm a licensed psychotherapist in the state of Minnesota, an executive coach, and I have a master practitioner status with Myers-Briggs. And this is a story that took place a few decades ago. At that time, I did a lot of work through the technical college system. One of the colleges is one I did a great deal of work through. And what that entailed is I would work with a person in the customized training department. This person's name was Carol. And Carol and I were a lot the same. I mean, personality wise, I believe she was very much like me. And it was easy to work with her. It was just a natural fit. Everything was easy, it flowed easily. And together, we lined up lots of new business together that I would eventually then conduct in terms of training. And to work with somebody to line up business it was quite important to have a really strong working relationship. Anyway, we did this for years and did a lot of training together. And at one point, she made this announcement. She said, Richard, it's been great working with you. I can no longer work with you because my responsibilities are changing and I needed to get rid of something. And so your particular working arrangement that you've had with me will now be done by another person named Dave. And I was quite disappointed. I really, really enjoyed working with her and it worked so well. And I said, well, okay. And so she gave me the contact information for Dave, and I had a phone call with Dave, and it did not go well as far as I was concerned. I was really perplexed with how I was going to actually work with this man because he was so different than me. I mean, he was so opposite. He was extremely analytical and didn't seem like the kinds of people skills, at least I thought at the time, wasn't really what I needed, I thought, to continue doing business the way we were doing it. And after that meeting, I got back in touch with Carol and I said, Carol, it just isn't going to work with Dave. Is there any way I can keep working with you? Any way at all? Because I just don't see it with Dave. She said, no. She said, no, you're not going to work with me anymore. Dave is the one that's been appointed to work with you. You will be working with Dave. And at that point, I was really concerned because how would I work with this man who was so different than me? And since there was no other option, I eventually came to the conclusion that I had to find a way. I had to find a way to work with somebody who was extremely difficult from my perception to work with. Well, so I got back in touch with Dave. We got together in person, and it was awkward. It was awkward for him too, because I was so different than him. And as awkward as it was, we made a start. And we began to work together and line up some new work. And the longer we worked together, it just got a little bit easier. And then I really had kind of a revelation. I thought, I really need to commit to really getting to know Dave and getting to know kind of how he's put together. So different than I'm put together, but how is he put together and how can I really flex towards what he does well and help translate what I do well in ways that he could better understand. And once I changed that stance, things got easier and easier. And over time, I really enjoyed working with him. It was such a shock. I really enjoyed working with him. We did a lot of business together. We worked together for another probably 4 or 5 years. And with working together, one thing that happened that I wasn't expecting, I also became much more analytical. I saw the world more through that lens, and that was really beneficial for me. And it still serves me today. I've actually continued to grow in that way. And so it was something that really was overcome because I was willing to take a stance of saying, as hard as this is, I'm willing to be mentally flexible and do my best to really understand somebody else and their personality, even though it was very different than mine, and find a way to work. Another outcome, in addition to becoming more analytical myself, was that I became fascinated by various personalities and how we can understand them, not from just our perspective, but actually from their perspective. And to that end, well, gosh, over 10 years ago, I became certified in Myers-Briggs and was so fascinated by how that worked that I took an additional 80 hours of course study and now have a master's practitioner status with Myers-Briggs. And since then, I've done probably 300 plus interpretations with Myers-Briggs people, plus a great many workshops where we were doing team building by really understanding everybody's individual personalities and how we can flex so we can understand the other personalities on a particular work team and better work together. And that's been very rewarding for me, and it's also been very helpful for the participants. So, in conclusion, I can just really say that even though we can be very uncomfortable with doing something new and out of our comfort zone, if we can just go ahead and commit to it, we often can find a way, as I did in this case. I appreciate your time, and if you have any interest in various kinds of psychological personality types and how they work together, I would be very interested in answering any questions in the chat, or actually in this case in the comment section. And I welcome those comments and questions. Thank you so much.